3 top headlines you may have missed in March of 2024 when it comes to Las Vegas. The first, water levels are up at Lake Mead. This is a great thing. I know that water is something that a lot of people are talking about, and they're really worried about water running out to the valley. Now, the good news is, if you look at the Economic Development Department and the Southern Nevada Water Authority and the studies they've done, they've looked at population growth, which they expect to continue growing and for us to surpass 3 million people not too far in the future. And they're thinking, what are we going to do about water with even more people? The good news is that even though we're well over 2 million people now, we're actually using a lot less water than we were a decade ago when we were, just over 1 million or 1.5 million, say. And it's amazing the conservation efforts that the Southern Nevada Water Authority has had. I did a video previously on getting money in your pocket for giving up grass, and they've done a great effort there. They've also made an amazing effort at recycling our current water use. Pretty much every single drop of water that you're using indoors that doesn't get wiped on a towel or a paper towel or spilled on the floor is recycled at nearly 100%. Now, the outdoor water, not so much, and that's why they're making such an effort for these big communities to remove a lot of their grass, and they're giving a lot of money for it. Those are 2 major conservation efforts, and there are many others that they're doing. So as we continue to grow the valley and grow our population, and there will be more water use as a result, they will continue to work on water conservation efforts to make sure that we are doing well into the future. As I mentioned, they've done studies and they're looking at that population growth, and they are confident that all the way through 2050 and slightly beyond, we won't actually have any water issues. And those studies were done before the recent rise of Lake Mead. So the fact that we've risen 30 feet, which is a huge amount when you look at the overall shoreline of Lake Mead, that is literally millions and millions of gallons. And those studies were done before that. So we're likely in better shape for even longer, and the Vegas Valley isn't going anywhere. We'll find some solutions if we need to. Hopefully we'll have a few more really great years of snowpack. As a skier, I gotta tell you, I'm really excited about more great years of snowpack. I'm also excited that that snow melt-off runs off into Lake Powell and Lake Mead and fills that Colorado River so that we actually have higher water levels. That's what I'm continuing to be hopeful for. And again, we will find solutions as we need them. Right now, though, it's all good news. Headline number 2. Well, on again, off again, on again, off again when it comes to the Oakland Athletics moving here. Now, in previous videos, you may have seen that I'm a New York native and I was born in the Bronx, so I was indoctrinated as a Yankees fan. Otherwise, I probably would have been pummeled as a kid. I love my Yankees, and I know there's a lot of Yankees haters out there. They're probably the most hated team in Major League Baseball because of salary caps and revenue and all that good stuff. Fact of the matter is, I happen to love them, and having the Oakland Athletics out here, I don't know. I really wanted an expansion team. We'll see what happens. It still looks like they're coming, but we keep seeing articles where they may not. What we do know is that the Tropicana Hotel has officially closed, and they are getting ready with that wrecking ball to knock it down to build a stadium that is going to be done in 2028. What's that going to bring? That's going to bring more revenue, more people, and more quality industry that's going to diversify us from so much hospitality and gaming. Is this still entertainment and therefore hospitality? Yes. However, with sports, we bring in more and better doctors. We bring in other professionals, the sports teams. It sells more real estate, near and dear to my heart, right? Because I'm in the real estate business, and it just does a lot. Now, they're already talking NBA team. They already have for several years, as you probably know, or maybe you don't. We have a great WNBA team, the Las Vegas Aces. They are back-to-back champions, and they want a three-peat. So we'll see exactly where they go, but it's really exciting for the NBA when we already have a championship WNBA team, a Stanley Cup winning Las Vegas Golden Knights hockey team, and now we're getting baseball. So the NBA doesn't want to be the only one left out. As we grow in sports, that creates more demand for the city in regards to people moving here, in regards to services and service levels. We're basically growing up as a city. So where we were once the destination for gambling and Sin City and all the stuff that went around that, right? Just a bunch of hotels in a corridor with not much business and industry around it. We are now really exploding at the seams in so many different areas. Some tech, obviously professional sports, and other professional areas. We've got a training hospital now. We've got the Lou Ruvo Brain Institute and Cleveland Clinic. We've got the Smith Center. We've got an arts district. It really is burgeoning, and it's really, really exciting to see. I moved here in 1993. I have really seen this city grown, and this is about the proudest I've been of this city. Now, headline number 3, this one's a little frightening. We have about 50,000 buildable acres left in the valley, and we're likely to run out of land here pretty soon. Now, what does that actually mean and how scary is it? Well, as a valley, what we mean is we're surrounded by mountains and we have the valley in between. And that valley from Henderson all the way out to the northwest of Las Vegas, what most people refer to as Centennial and Sky Canyon, to the southwest, going out towards Pahrump, as well as the northeast, where we have our infamous Nellis Air Force Base. That's basically the valley as a whole. As we start to run out of land, that's within the valley. The good news is we have land that spans outside of the valley. As you go down the I-15 south towards California, we have a lot of land going out into Sloan and Jean and even State Line. And what's going to happen after we run out of land in the valley? We're going to create some suburbs. Now, a lot of you probably know about suburbs. I'm from New York. It was suburbs all along the East Coast. There was barely any vacant land from nearly, Massachusetts all the way down to Florida, and it was all suburbs of bigger cities. That's ultimately what's going to start happening in a Vegas type way, right? We're gonna have more people that are gonna live slightly outside of Vegas. And what is that gonna do for Vegas? Well, probably similar things to what it's done for Phoenix and LA and Dallas, Texas, and New York. Now, maybe not at those rates in regards to pricing on LA and New York. However, it's going to make being in this city more desirable for some, and therefore probably more expensive. And then people that are going to live more on the outskirts are going to be able to get a better bargain, right? Their dollar is going to go further. We already see that in the far northwest, where you can actually buy a lot more house for the same money as you could say in Summerlin or some of the other popular and hot areas in the city. And that will continue. Like many other areas, that's the way we will keep living here affordable. People will have to drive a little bit further. We'll probably get a little more traffic, but they are working on infrastructure projects in a way that I've never actually seen before. Again, I've lived here since 1993. I've always joked around saying the state bird is the crane, right? Because we're always under construction. And right now, what's going on the different freeways from the Tropicana project to the 215 exchange around the I-15 and all of the off-ramps and on-ramps and what they're adding, it's been pretty amazing. And I'm really excited to see it done, not only because, well, driving in construction isn't that fun, it's also because it's gonna free up a lot and not have those log jams like we used to. So they're really building towards that increased population. And that ultimately is really, really exciting. What else happens when we run out of land? Well, we have more population. With more population becomes more crowds. Vegas has done a great, great job in regards to infrastructure. Every time they build more homes, they build more parks, they build more commercial. So you have your own bubble regardless of where you are. When I go out to the far northwest, which is the opposite town that I live on, I realize that people that live there, they may work on the Strip, they may work in the Southwest, they may even work in Henderson. Most of them work somewhere around their area, and everything else resides in their area. They may have friends across town. We really don't have that big of a valley. There's almost nowhere that's more than an hour, even with traffic, to get to. So again, for you Californians out there, You might only have to go 2 exits and it's an hour sometimes. We don't really have that, so it's really a pretty close-knit city. However, those that live in the far northwest or far out in Henderson, they typically stick to their area. They shop in their area, the kids go to school in their area, and they end up gaining other friends in that area. Running out of land, yeah, it's a big deal. However, again, we have a lot of land surrounding us. We have a lot of areas that are continuing to grow and blossom, and we'll continue to be able to build and grow this city as we have, and it'll continue for quite a while. The headline, though, is that we've only got 50,000 acres left. So that it is something to consider, because if you were considering moving here, let's say you're even thinking about, I'm gonna retire there in 5 or 10 years. Well, if you have the appetite for being a landlord, you might want to buy a home now, rent it out, have somebody else pay your mortgage, so that way when you get here, you've got a wonderful home at today's prices. I'm not predicting that home prices are going to go up, down, or sideways, but if you just look at the details, we only have so much left and we're continuing to grow. We don't have a lot of inventory. There's nowhere that inventory is necessarily going to all of a sudden come from. Even if builders could build a lot more, it's still a matter of keeping up with that pace of supply and demand, and we have a lot of demand in the Las Vegas area. If it is something that you were considering, it is something you may want to look at in regards to buying now and holding, especially if you could rent it and have somebody else pay your mortgage or make a return on your money if you happen to be a cash buyer. Again, all things to consider, but ultimately it was a pretty wild headline when I read it and I was like, wow, okay, we're gonna run out of land, and then what? Though the then what is not a totally bad alternative. If you're gonna live in Sloan or Jean, you got a little bit more of a drive in, it'll be pretty, it'll be nice, and ultimately you'll still be able to get a great place for a pretty affordable price, especially depending on where you're coming from. This is Alex Rivlin with the Rivlin Group, bringing you more information on Vegas. If you have any questions at all about this video or about anything having to do with Vegas in general or Vegas real estate especially, please comment below or drop into the description below. You'll see a phone number and an email there for me. I would love to answer your questions. And if you have any topics that you'd like to be covered on this channel, I would love to hear from you about what questions you have, or maybe an area that you want covered, a community, a particular subdivision, something that you'd really like to know what the highlights are, what the parks around it are, about the shopping, the schools, all of those types of things. I would love to go out and do a video specifically for you if you've got one that you want done, and it would be absolutely my pleasure. All right, hope to see you back here soon.